Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate all our sponsors. Meldon Law also sponsors Coach Spurrier's appearances, and Coach Spurrier will be here today. And we'll also do, when he's here, the Campus USA Play of the Weekend. I had a lot of choices. They all involve Gator baseball. And we'll get to all of our other great stuff that we do on Thursday. Well, Friday's show that we tape on Thursday. We're still trying to get through the summer here on all this. But on Friday's show, Chris Doring's going to join us. Always great talking to him. I got some talking to do about him, though, all these spring games he did. I want to find out what he saw because, believe me, we got to see, unfortunately, a lot of spring games because the SEC Network, and I still can't get this explained to me, why the SEC Network can't carry regional baseball games. They say it's because of the NCAA contract with ESPN, but ESPN is the SEC Network. They're the same thing. They own each other. Or one owns the other. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So it's time for our starting five. We will bring it to you right now. And number one, we'll start with baseball because it was unbelievable this weekend out there at Condren Ballpark, as I call it, Con Air, because it was about power, and then power. The power of Florida's bats with the home runs they hit, which were huge home runs, obviously in the game. No, not all were long, but they were huge, long enough. The power of Florida's pitching, because Florida was able to throw arms after arms, throwing 93, 94, and that got them through it, and the power of Florida's crowd. The crowd had a huge part in it. I do want to shout out my wife and daughter, Kelsey and Karen. Kelsey's my daughter, Karen's my wife. I was sick all weekend. I just had a flu bug. It was no big deal. In fact, I don't even know if it was a flu bug. It was a weird stomach ailment. And we did go on Sunday night. We did go to the game, the second game, and when we got there, they were in the lightning delay, and we sat in our car for an hour, and we finally went, let's just go home, watch it on TV, go get something to eat at Ballyhoo, and we did. So I felt bad, but at the same time, I was happy about one thing. I got to watch the NBA game, which was an unbelievable game. We'll get to that later. But BT with the homer after going 0 for 15 and with 8 strikeouts, 2 homers. Caglione was named the MVP of this tournament, and I had a ballot on this, but I said I can't vote at a tournament I didn't go to. I watched every minute of every pitch on TV, but I didn't feel comfortable voting on it because I wasn't there. But I could have made an argument for Langford. I could have made an argument for Rivera, not just because he had a couple of hits and he had the homer Friday night, but because of the way he played defense. I could have made an argument for a lot of guys. And none of those guys is going to be our Gator of the Week. How about that? That'll be some news. So that we got that going for us. But unbelievable weekend over at the park, and everybody just I know everybody was really excited. Many of us were down after what happened Saturday when they lost 5-4. The one thing I said was Florida has the depth of pitching to get through this, but will they start hitting? Because they weren't hitting very much, as you know. And they didn't really – it's like they didn't explode. They hit a lot of home runs that were majorly significant. But, one of the biggest plays that happened on Sunday, it's so hard because we've been through – when you go through a 4-day regional and 5 games, it's kind of hard to remember what day is what. Sunday was throwing error by the third baseman. Threw it away, got it, Florida a run in, got a runner in scoring position. This was the same game where Florida had 2 runners thrown out at the plate in the same game, on the same play. And then on the third one, Cags hit it. It was a big single. Hits a single, nothing game. and he hits it pretty sharp, and I'm like, oh, if Langford gets thrown out going home, I'm turning it off and I'm walking out. If they get 3 players thrown out at the plate in a game, I can't take that. But that's the thing about regional baseball. It is so intense. Jeff and I were talking about this on the radio. You just have this, you can't not watch a pitch. Every pitch you have to watch. And he was saying, like, they're in the SEC tournament, you know, it's important. You want them to win. You want them, you know, you're an announcer, you just call it. But with this, you cannot take, you would have not be able to take your eyes off the game even if you weren't there. You would somehow find a way to watch it. But anyway, great for the Gators. And let's get to number 2 on the starting 5, and that's Sully's coaching. This guy is showing you, there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, a couple of years ago, when there were some people that thought maybe Sully needed to move on. I know people were trying to push him out the door to LSU, but magnificent coaching this weekend in so many ways. Look, you can't make, when Florida got those 2 runners thrown out the plate, that was bad. That wasn't coaching fault. That was players trying to be aggressive. And sometimes when you tell players to try to be aggressive, they overdo it. But the way he handled the pitchers, and it was really good. 9 super regionals now under Sully, and I know they haven't been to one for a while. I mean, 4 years, 5 years is a long time, I know, but 11 total is Florida's total. Now, super regionals haven't been around forever, but that's still the 5th best total. So great for Sully. I know that it meant a lot to him just to make that effort. And, of course, we get to number 3 on the starting 5, which is Gamecocks are next. They swept Florida earlier this year in 3 games up in Columbia. The combined score was 25-10. They ruled them once, but since then Florida's 17-5. So I look at that and I go, yeah, at home the snowball kind of got going. I don't think it has anything to do with this series. But we know the times of the games now, at least the first 2 games, 6 o'clock on Friday, 3 o'clock on Saturday, and then Sunday will depend on what's going on with all the other games. It's like Karen was saying, what time do you think the game's going to be Monday? And I go, there are games still being played. And there's another game that's starting at 10:30. ESPN's not going to decide this for a while. And so I would bet it'll be a noon game again. We'll see. Part of it will be because in Florida, as we know, you try to get the game done before the rain comes. That's the 3 o'clock game is a concern, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see what the rotation is. Those games will be on ESPN too, so they're on actual TV, unless they lay more people off, which I heard they're going to do too. All right, number 4, Antonio Callaway arrested, had an outstanding warrant, didn't pay it, ignored it. And released by the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't even know he was playing for Dallas. I think he was on the practice squad. And it just it's kind of sad to see what a waste this talent has been. He wasn't a big-time recruit, but turned into a great player. But that's about all I have to say. And there's a term I like to use for people like him, and that's knucklehead. Don't be a knucklehead. He's a knucklehead, and he keeps being a knucklehead, and it's a shame what he's done. In fact, I'm thinking about, for Gators Wire, doing a 12 things on the 12 biggest knuckleheads at Florida. Callaway may be number 1 on that. Now, number 5 on the starting lineup is something that we'll talk a lot with Coach Spurrier about. And I didn't see this coming. Nobody saw it coming. It happened. We're taping this on Tuesday. It happened a couple of hours ago, when they announced that the golf tours are going to merge. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. We were supposed to draw sides here and fight to the finish. And I was a PGA guy and ripping these guys who went to the Live and greedy. I called them, the phrase I used, they wanted luxury, not legacy. Then Kipke wins the PGA, and you're like, it's okay. He played really good. You kind of got a feeling like maybe everything was softening, but there were still barbs, and Mickelson was ripping McIlroy 5 days ago, and all of a sudden they announced, we're all together now. We're all together. I don't know what to think about this. It's kind of, I need more information. I know after we tape this show, they're actually having a meeting with the players. That's the weirdest thing of all. The PGA players were floored by it. This came out of nowhere. They read it on Twitter. Okay, that's the way you want to do things. This feels like either something that is going to help golf or something that is going to make golf even less of a niche sport. And I call it a niche sport, even though I love golf and I love watching golf. I watched the Memorial the other day. But it's still not for everybody. Not everybody wants to watch golf. Some people find it boring. You know, then what is not a niche sport is football or basketball. Baseball is almost down to that level. Things like gymnastics, you know. But anyway, we'll see. I really kind of need more info on this before I want to talk about it. But I'll still talk about it with Coach Spurrier. I was talking to Scott Strickland today too about this, and because this is like the last thing. It's almost like the last thing of a cycle here, but. We have just been through such incredible news lately, and to go through what Gator fans went through. And I know that all Gator fans don't care about golf during the season, don't care about golf until it's on TV. Florida's playing FSU in golf. I'll watch that. Or, you know, maybe aren't into baseball the way they are into football and basketball. But these last 7 days, it's good to be able to breathe again. Because, I mean, when you go from Florida against FSU in golf in the semifinals of the national championship, and you know how big a deal it is, and I'm good friends with JC, good friends with Dudley, then play for the national championship the next, and it was actually my daughter's 22nd birthday, so I went out with her and had to follow it on my phone, but it was, hey, you got to do the right priorities. And then to go to those regionals where every pitch mattered, that was 7 days that were kind of excruciating, but that's what sports is. It makes you wince. It makes you put your hands over your eyes and not want to look, and put your head in your lap. It makes you want to do all those things, but you're just hoping at the end of the day you can celebrate. And that was the great part of these 7 days. So we'll talk about those with Coach Spurrier when we come back after we take a break. We'll do that right here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. We'll also have our Campus USA Play of the Weekend when Coach Spurrier comes on. We'll talk to him coming up here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Jeffrey Meldon is the main sponsor for Coach Spurrier's segments here. And we appreciate him being here. He was just out at Pebble Beach. How'd that go out there?
Not as well as it used to, Pat. I used to take what they do. They have a Pebble Beach coaches tournament, all college football coaches. SEC has their meetings, so no SEC coaches are there. I used to go every other year, and Commissioner Kramer was okay with it. And then when I got to South Carolina, Commissioner Sly said, Steve, you need to come to the SEC football meetings. So I didn't go, but I went, I've been a bunch of years. And I take my two sons, Steve and Scotty. Scotty hadn't played all year. It was his first round. Steve Jr. played about 9 holes, but he played pretty well. He's a decent player. And then I took Tommy Shannon, who played quarterback here at Florida. In fact, he went out with us way back in 1992, 31 years ago, and we actually won it that year. And our teams, actually, I've been a part of a team that won it 5 times. And we've probably been there 15, 18 times, I'm not sure. So anyway, it's a nice event. Got a chance to see a bunch of coaches there. Lincoln Riley, hadn't really ever talked to him. Got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And a bunch of coaches. Ricky Neuheisel sort of helps, does the entertainment and so forth. Yeah. Gary Patterson is there also. So it's a fun event, and we didn't play very well, but it was nice to be out there. And cocktail party Wednesday night, I was 35 minutes late because I watched the Gators win the national championship.
There you go.
And man, was that fun. I told those football coaches, we might not can beat your butts in football, but we can beat you in golf because we just won the national championship. And so we had something to brag about with J.C. Deacon and Dudley Hart leading their guys. And I talked to J.C. Just the other day. I said, that's the first time I've watched the golf coach allowed to go out on the greens and talk with the guys. And I said, it makes sense. You know, players come on and off the field, coaches talk to them, and quarterbacks have the ear thing in the NFL, so you can talk to them in between plays and so forth. But, man, our guys were gritty and hung in there, especially the win over FSU when we were 2 down and 1 more loss, and FSU is on the way. And our guys hung in there and fought back and won the thing. So really proud of our Gator golf team winning the national championship. And the SEC this year also.
Yep. Won it all. They won everything you could win. And that's an incredible story. And we followed it, of course, last week. But, you know, the interesting thing is, I was just talking about this, Steve, this last 7 days, you had the match against FSU, then you had the national championship, then you had 5 regional games in 4 days Florida had to play, 3 elimination baseball games where they had to play, and it was like for Gator fans, it ended up great, but it was like every minute was intense.
Yeah, there's so many good college athletes, baseball, golf, tennis. I mean, you got to be on top of your game. You got to be tough. You can't flinch. You just got to keep playing your game. If it goes bad, hey, something good's going to happen. Keep playing. And that's basically what our teams did. Just keep playing and keep your confidence going, and hopefully it'll work out, and it sure did. So it was a good week,
Yeah, and now against the Gamecocks. So I don't know. You're still the ambassador here, so you're rooting for the Gators.
Oh, of course.
You'll probably see some people you know. They're Ray Tanner, I'm sure, will be there.
Yeah, they'll probably have a decent crowd here, and they sort of beat us during the season,
Swept.
3 in a row
They
up
swept,
there.
yeah.
So, but it's another day, another game. We're at home, and I'm sure we'll be ready to go. And Coach Sully, he's got his guys going, and they had to win just the other yesterday.
Yeah,
I guess
yesterday.
6-0. And they didn't celebrate wildly.
No,
which
they
I
didn't.
like.
They
You know,
didn't,
just,
yeah.
You know, hey, good going, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, but save that big celebration for Omaha,
Yeah.
hopefully. So I think Sully will have them ready to go.
Well, I want to shift back to golf for a minute because the story that broke on Thursday about the Live and the DP Tour, which I'm sure most people didn't even know. They don't realize it's a European tour.
It's all European Tour,
Yeah.
DPs.
And then, of course, the PGA merging, and we're all like going, and they didn't tell the players, and the players were not happy about it. They were finding out on Twitter. But I'm just like, I don't understand where that came from. And I think we're going to find out eventually where it came from. But I've heard the theory that the Saudis just threw a bunch of money at the tour and said, take it. Here's another $2 billion. Just take it, and we'll in this merge. So I don't know what to think about it though. What's your thought?
Well, nobody saw it coming.
No, they didn't.
I was flipping around and saw the Golf Channel this morning, and it was all over it and so forth. And of course, they had Monahan and tour director of the Live Group, I guess, interviewing both those guys, and they were talking how it was real good for golf and this, that, and the other. And I got a feeling that some of those guys that turned down the big money, they may slide some in their pockets
Yes.
to make them happy. I don't know, it's just a guess. But
Well, think about what Rory not only turned it down, but he carried the water for the PGA
criticized
Tour.
all
Yeah.
them, for a while. I was sort of criticizing them for a while. Then you start thinking, well, wait a minute, some guys offered a bunch of money. I mean, they were getting $4 million to win a tournament, and over here maybe 1.5, 2, 2.5, something like that. But money talks and BS walks, as they say. And they threw a lot of money over and over at the PGA Tour, and now they're part of it.
So we'll see how it all works out. It's just a weird dynamic. Also, the other news that broke this week, which I knew was coming, but I didn't know it was going to come, about the documentary they're doing on the 06 to 09 teams. Would you have ever let somebody come in for that kind of access and taken all the locker room scenes and everything like that?
I don't think we ever did that. I don't.
There was no Netflix then.
Yeah, no Netflix. Well, I was coaching 6 through 9. Our big years at South Carolina were 10, 11, 12, 13.
Right, that's right.
As we won 11 3 times and 9 the other time. But I wouldn't have liked it, to tell you the truth. I think the privacy or sanctity of the locker room is something you're supposed to hang on to a little bit. But now that XFL, in fact, I played golf down at the Reliance Quest Bowl, has their little function. Jim McVeigh, who ran the old Outback, he's still running that bowl and everything. The coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks, Anthony Boyd, he and I actually rode together, and we played a little scramble and so forth. But we're talking about their league and this, that, and the other, and they're all set to go again next year, which is good. So anyway, it's just more football and more opportunities.
But they let
coaches
people in the
players.
locker room.
They mic them up between plays, locker room, everywhere. He was talking about that.
Well, you had an open locker room until 94. Late 94, I think, was the last time.
No, after the game,
After the
game.
Yeah. So I always loved doing that, but and of course now it feels like a pipe dream that we could just walk in the locker room and talk to guys, But in the NFL, you still can, I think. I think you can talk to them in the locker room.
Yeah, I think they still allow guys to walk around and catch the guys, but I'm not sure because they all come to the podium already cleaned up.
Well, the stars usually come to the podium, and then but if you want to talk to the offensive lineman, you go in the
That's probably true
locker
too.
room.
So guys, sticking to golf, I'm flipping around. I think it was
Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday.
Yep.
And it was Sunday. Rose Zhang The young lady
She's great.
went to Stanford. Player of the Year, won the NCAA
NCAA.
individual twice. I think Stanford won the team this year, and they invited her to play in an LPGA event up in New York, Statue of Liberty right behind. What's the name of that course? Liberty National.
Liberty National, yeah.
And so she's got a one-shot lead going in the last day, and I watched about the whole back nine, and she held on and won in a playoff. And it's first time a person had won an LPGA event, their first time ever since 1951.
51, yeah, I saw that stat. Yeah.
So anyway, they asked her later about it, and here's her mindset, which here's how she won. She said, I don't think about expectations. Everybody didn't think she's going to do any good because she's playing with the pros now. She said, I think about playing the golf course, and I'm trying to shoot the best score I can every hole. Simple as that. And her demeanor, as they watched her, I mean, cameras on her all the way through, was just unbelievable. She had a real bad break on the first playoff hole where the ball barely rode in the bunker. But she got it. She had a 5-iron with a lip like that and got it right in front of the green. And
I watched her when they played that tournament at Augusta. They played the women's tournament like the Sunday before, and she was in the last group. And I was so impressed with her. Her demeanor, like you said, her demeanor, the way she carries herself. I said she is ready for the LPGA Tour, and she's going to take it by storm. And first tournament out, she wins.
First tournament out, she wins it. So, she's going to be a force. And I'll tell you what else is happening this year. As I was out there at Pebble, they're advertising the U.S. Women's Open is going to be at Pebble Beach this year. First time ever out there.
Wow.
So the really great golf courses in America are inviting the women to come out and play.
Good for them.
I was saying about Dr. Ruth Alexander, who got women's sports started here in Florida. If she was alive today, she would really just have a big smile on her face. Because women's sports, sometimes they're better than the men, to tell you the truth. The National Basketball women's game with LSU and Iowa was a lot better than that Georgia TCU game. So anyway, women's sports are really caught on all over the country. Now the softball tournaments, their TV ratings are way up there also, I hear. So give credit to those women. They can compete just like the men. It's fun to watch.
One last question for you, and it's a golf question. Fred Biondi made a decision to turn pro. No big surprise there. He could have played in the U.S. Open and the Masters this year. Now he's out of the U.S. Open unless he can find a way to qualify because he's turned pro. The Masters can still give him an invitation, but I don't know if they will or not. I think they will. Yeah, but what would we? That's a tough call, though, isn't it? I mean, the U.S. Open's only a couple weeks away. But maybe he just feels like he'll qualify, so he's not worried about it.
Yeah, these guys have plans, they have goals, and I was talking to Coach J.C. Deacon after they won it the other day, and I said, well, maybe we can get your team together at the restaurant, have a little celebration party or something. I said, but they're probably all scattered, aren't they? He said, well, 3 of them have already turned pro, and they got a tournament here and there, and Biondi's got one somewhere. So they're all over the place. So I said, well, maybe during football season they can come back or something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. That team, I'll always treasure that team. In fact, I got a picture of the last 2 NCAA champions from Florida, Nick Gillum, who you know, and of course Fred Biondi. You know who the third one was? It was before.
Melnick was one of the great ones back.
He won U.S. Amateur. Yeah. Bob Murphy was the only other one to win the NCAA championship.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
All right, before we let you go, Coach, let's do our Campus USA play of the weekend. I had a lot to choose from in baseball. I can tell you that. There were so many great moments during the tournament, and it was but again, when it comes down to Monday was a big day. If you don't win Monday, you go home. Loser goes home. So let's roll the play of the day. And here it is. BT Riopel 0 for 15
drilled down that right field line. That ball is
with 8 strikeouts. Then he hits 2 homers. This was the second one. I was just saying, get off the wall, at least bounce off the wall. And it somehow got out. That was a rip down the line. And that really kind of made you feel like they're gonna win this game 6-0. 4-0, you could still get tied by a grand slam. When they get up 6-0, that was pretty cool.
Yep, our baseball team, hopefully, we're peaking at the right time.
Yep.
Right now. Yep. And
Well, they're 17-5 since getting swept by South Carolina. Yeah. So they played really well, and we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
All right, and we'll talk to you next week. We'll know more whether they're in the College World Series or not by next week.
That's right. All right.
So we'll be back with more on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate you for watching or listening to us, and now you get to watch Robbie Andrew, which is presented by Hesser and Kipke, and he comes to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line, and he will play Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. But first, Robbie, I want to just get your take on what happened with the baseball this weekend.
I thought, when they lost that game, I thought they've really got their work cut out for them now. It was going to be hard to win 3 in a row, but man, their pitching came through, and then they really started hitting here the last 2 games. So they're in good shape now. They've got momentum.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I know that it was for a lot of people. A lot of people are hoarse, sunburned, and have lost weight because it was pretty hot out there on Monday.
Yeah, there was a lot of sun.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom. Big Mills Cheesesteak, Yes, No Way, or Maybe. And, of course, it's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, where street dining is done the right way. Sponsors, one of the many sponsors of the Bob Dooley Invitational. Number 1 for Robbie on Yes, No Way, or Maybe. Antonio Callaway is the biggest waste of talent in Florida history.
I'd say maybe, Pat, because you looked at how good he was when he was here and what he could have become, and he just didn't do it. He never lived up to all that potential. He flashed it. that play against Tennessee to win the game. He had a ceiling that was outrageous, and he just never got even close to it.
He's still the only player in Florida that threw, caught, ran a punt, and ran a kickoff back for a touchdown. Nobody else has ever done that.
Yeah. It just shows you his skill, Pat. He was an unbelievable athlete, and he never lived up to what he had.
Yeah, and the latest thing, he just didn't pay on a warrant. He had a warrant on his arrest and just ignored it.
Yeah. I don't think he was one of the smartest guys to come through here, Pat. And, you can't blame coaching on that. He just didn't have the intangibles to reach his potential, I guess.
Well, I like to refer to those guys as knuckleheads. And I was thinking about
he was a knucklehead.
I may do a 12 biggest knuckleheads in Gator history. Christian Dreyer will go in there.
He's definitely in there.
I'll find a way to get 12 of them if I do that. All right, number 2. I was asked this question on Bianchi's show today, so you know it's a negative question, right?
Okay.
Florida golf and baseball success make up for its football problems.
No way.
Yeah.
Football's in a different league, Pat. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's great that they're winning in other sports, but it's all about football. That's what you judge a team like Florida on, a program like Florida. It's all about football. That doesn't make up for what's going on in football.
I tried to give him a
It helps.
He wouldn't let me do that, so I had to go
Yeah.
with no way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no way to me, because it is what it is. This is a football school.
Yeah, and I mean, I was emotional when they won at golf. I mean, and JC is a friend, and Dudley's a friend.
That was draining, wasn't it, Pat? How draining were those two rounds?
Those two, and then the baseball, where every pitch mattered.
Yeah.
That was big too. And I'm happy as heck for it all, but would you trade it? You know, that's the thing. Would you trade it for if Florida this year ran the table and went 14-0 and won the football championship? No, there's nobody out there that would, except maybe some hardcore golf and baseball people. And I don't blame them for being hardcore. They're great coaches and great teams and fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. They've got great programs going.
All right, and finally, number 3 on yes, nowhere, maybe for Robbie Andrew. Florida State ends Oklahoma's winning streak in women's softball at 51 straight games. At some point during this.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes, Pat. And even though I don't cover or follow softball that closely, the word is that Oklahoma's kind of been struggling here down the stretch. And you look at FSU, they're just on a roll right now that they don't think they're going to lose. I have a feeling they're going to, maybe it'll sweep Oklahoma, but I think they're going to beat them. I think FSU's going to win the title.
Yeah, they played them once during their regular season. I think they lost 5-4, but they've got a great pitcher. And I mean, Oklahoma had to go 9 innings just to win the last game.
So and Oklahoma's all about hitting a bunch of home runs. They haven't been doing that lately, apparently.
Well, who do you root for there? Because Oklahoma's dynasty is kind of ticking me off a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired too. That their dynasty in softball and gymnastics. When you look at what they've done in both of those sports, is amazing. Time to knock them off.
Great, and now they get to come to the SEC. So.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, we'll let you go. Thanks a lot for being on Yes Nowhere, maybe. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
The great Robbie Andrew coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Let's go to the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. I had a ton of choices again for Gator of the weekend. I chose to go with Cade Fisher, and here's why. He starts that game on Sunday. These days are all running together. So he starts the game on Sunday, and I mean they lose and the season's over. They've used their 3 guys. Sunday night he comes out there, and I was like, okay, yeah, what are you going to do?
Recording
here? So
stop.
You going to pitch him 3 innings and then just Johnny Holstaff for the rest of the night? No, Cade Fisher just shut him down for 7 innings, and that is why Florida is advancing. Now, I could have made it Florida's bullpen. I could have made it Brandon Neely. I could have made it Ryan Slater for what he did, even though he gave up the 2-run homer and bounced back from that. I could have made it anybody from that baseball team. But I decided to go with Cade Fisher. So, Cade, you are now the Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. It's quite an honor, believe me. People have come before you, but they are pretty famous people, you know. All right, let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Ken Hesser sent me a text just with an emoji of somebody going like this when the golf news broke today, and I'm like, are you talking about the golf story? And he goes, yeah. And I go, no, where did that come from? I don't even know what's going on. And so we've been he's been sending me a lot of cool takes from it, but still, Thursday I'm gonna have a lot, or Friday's show I'll have a lot more to say about it. I want to get some explanations first. Number 1, let's go to the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Of course, you know Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Check out their more than 55 five-star reviews. Or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, number one on Hesser and Kipke, three things. The regionals have been very entertaining when you could find them. I'm not even going to go on my soap opera about SEC and Plus and all that. Look, just tell us we want you to buy SEC Plus, and we're all eventually going to, that's where we're going to be. We're all going to be watching things on streaming. I've been told that regular TV is just not going to exist anymore, but we'll see. That could be 10 years from now. But it was fun to watch the games you could watch or to get some highlights. I know some people watch the squeeze play, which is where they show all the games. That's too much for me. I don't want to watch 4 baseball games at the same time, or 4 football games, to be honest with you. And the thing the coolest thing was we got to see what happened with Trey Richardson from TCU, who had 2 grand slams in the first 2 innings of their game against Arkansas. And he had 2 homers going into the postseason, and as after he hit his second grand slam, he did the Michael Jordan shrug, and that was hilarious. I almost made that my play of the weekend, but there was just a lot of great stuff and a lot of great results, and just a lot of fun to watch it. Number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's three things. We know this much: the SEC will have 2 teams in the College World Series because 4 of them are playing each other. I don't like the way they set it up. I think they should reseed after you get to regionals. Jeff and I were talking about this. An option could be just to play 32 regionals, then bring it down to 16, then play another. Why do you play where you have to play 5 games in 4 days after you don't ever have to do that? You play 3 games in a matchup. But anyway. Nobody ever seems to listen to me in college baseball. I did really enjoy, and again, Florida, the SEC now has 6 teams still alive, which and they lost Arkansas, the 3 seed. Florida was obviously in peril. They lost Auburn. They lost a lot of other teams. Vanderbilt, surprising there, losing them. Miami is not in the SEC, but I did enjoy them losing to Texas. Texas, welcome to the SEC. We're taking credit for that win. And, of course, Auburn got beat as well. But it was just kind of wild. And then number 3 on Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. The Heat are trending up. The Panthers are trending down. For you Miami fans, the Heat, obviously, that was an amazing game on Sunday night. And they now will play Game 3, and we'll get to that in a minute. Tied up 1-1. Panthers lose again, got pounded by I started to say Golden State, the Golden Knights of Las Vegas, and we'll see where that goes. I'm not really into the hockey as much, but I watched every minute of the basketball game on my second TV. So that is Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks is going to be simple, and you have to get it in pretty quick because the game is Wednesday night, so it'll be tonight if you're watching. We'll see if you can get it in quick enough. Does Oklahoma sweep? Yes or no? Robbie just told you he thinks FSU might sweep. So Robbie is a softball expert. That is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Let's get to the games of the week, brought to you by Ben Eige and Odell Realty. We appreciate Ben Eige and Odell Realty. A lot of summer houses available up there. I think we'll have a house of the week on Friday's show. These are the highlights for the games of the week. Wednesday is Game 3, 8:30 on ABC. Of course, Denver at Miami. After Denver beat Miami, everybody's like, this series is over. They may sweep. After Miami wins now, Denver's actually a 2.5-point favorite going into the game. So we'll see what happens there. And then Friday it'll be the same thing, 8:30 game on ABC. Softball. I did want to mention this. The Oklahoma FSU best of 3, Wednesday at 8, and then they would play Thursday at 7:30. So if you're into that, if you want to watch it, it will be something I'll watch a little bit. A little bit. I don't know who to root for there. I'm really struggling with that. And then the Canadian Open, which feels a lot more interesting for some reason. I don't know why. We'll see some interesting interviews. There's no doubt about that. It's on from 3 to 6 on the Golf Channel on Thursday if you want to watch it there. But if you get ESPN Plus, and I'm not promoting ESPN Plus, but you might as well get it because eventually you have to get it. You can watch it from 7 in the morning till 6 at night. There's another reason to have ESPN Plus. Again, I'm not promoting it. I'm just telling you, it is good. It's really good. But it's awkward, too. You put on a game, like I put on the Florida football or baseball game, and I can't turn it, the TV. I've got to watch that game, or else it takes 5 minutes to get back to the game. You miss like 3 batters. So that's the negative part of that. So I want to include that. Finally, let's get to Pat Dooley's story time. And I mentioned this earlier, the Netflix special that's coming out. The way the story broke was that Brandon Seiler tweeted, I think he put it on Twitter or Facebook, the letter he got. I got the same letter, but I don't think they wanted people to let everybody know when it was coming out. But Brandon put it out there. I don't recall anything in the letter that said don't publish this or don't put this out. I didn't think it was a big deal for me to put it out because it was a year and a half ago I did the interview. In fact, I told Bianchi today on his radio show they were trying to find a suggestion of where to film my segment, and they said it was going to take a long time, and they had all this camera, and it was unbelievable setup. And I said, we could go to the Gainesville Sun. Nobody's using that. So that's what we did. I mean, we didn't see a soul the whole time we were there. But they filmed it a year and a half ago. I will tell you this, it's probably going to be a little softer than I think some people, certainly opposing fans, would like it to be, because I just know the tone of the questions. And I did a 4-hour interview. And the only reason it was 4 hours is because after 4 hours I go, I've got a radio show I'm already late for. I got to leave. I'm sorry, guys. I got to go. And they go, well, look, how about 4 more questions? All right, ask 4 more. All right, then I gotta go. Jeff's losing his mind over there. But that's why it was only 4 hours. So what's the over-under on how much time I'll be on the air? Maybe 2.5 minutes?
I was at 30 seconds.
30 seconds? They'll be going, yeah, it was an unbelievable team. But yeah, no, I know that Urban was excited about it and he was, when he spoke to the quarterback club, which by the way is meeting tonight, Tuesday night, Tommy Townsend, he was very happy about the tone that they had taken with him. So I think it's going to be a very, happy time thing. So that's fine with me. I'm tired of hearing about Aaron Hernandez and all the other problems they had. And of course, Aaron Hernandez being the biggest one. I've done 1 million interviews about it. I'm tired of that part of it. But it was kind of funny when they were, and I wrote something for Gators Wire about this, about how special those teams were from 06 to 08 in both sports. Because every time I tried to bring up the basketball part of it, the people at Netflix said, no, this is a football thing. I go, yeah, but if you were here during that era, it was connected. They were all together. They were buddies. When the football team was celebrated at the O-Dome, during a basketball game, and the players were head bumping, and they were having a blast. But anyway, they decided not to use that part of it. So there'll be no basketball talk. What there will be is a show on Friday. Chris Doring will be on. We'll have a blast. Thanks to Zach for doing a great job producing today. Appreciate him. We'll be back with another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios on Friday. Till then, I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep way back. I'm out of here.